Hi everyone, today I'm doing a book review because I finished another book. Well, I'm on a roll at the moment, aren't I? I have just read Falling Kingdoms by Rhodes. Now this book I have seen on Regan's channel, that's Peruse Projects, leave a link for you down below. She's mentioned this several times, that she loves this series and she really recommends it for lovers of epic fantasy, sort of the more classical fantasy style, and obviously fantasy I really enjoy reading. So I thought, okay, when I see it in the library I'll pick it up. You know, I don't want to just go and buy it and hope it's a good one. I kind of want to see if I'm going to like it first. Libraries are great for that. You use them, or we'll use them. And so I eventually found a copy of it in my main library in town. So I've picked it up and devoured it in about 3 days, I think, which is not bad for a book that is 412 pages. I have to say, I kind of see what Regan's on about. Very, very enjoyable. A great ride, quite an interesting setup. And yeah, I kind of want to read the rest of them very, very quickly, particularly as book 6 in the series, which is like the final one, is coming out very shortly. So, Fallen Kingdoms follows a mythical land called Mythica, and it was once whole. Unfortunately, two watchers decided they wanted to be more powerful and squabbled over the elemental forces that they control and basically tore the land apart. In the process, slowly killing off magic, which has caused the land to slowly start dying. Now, there are 3 areas in this land. There's the good old icy north, there's the lovely, well, healthy south, and then there's the dying bit in the middle. And our story starts in the dying bit, and effectively one act triggers off the seeds of change that are going to happen in this world. But it's not just about people being oppressed, it's not just about politics, and it's not just about war, it's also about magic. Because obviously there's now this quest to save magic, to bring it back to the land, to heal the land and make things better. There are elements of romance in this story, but it's sort of very like new romance. Most of these characters are about 16, 17 at the most. It's one of those worlds where love isn't really sort of a normal thing. You get married for politics or for power. And so love is quite a new thing to all of our characters, and it's not always where you'd expect it to go. There is a very interesting romance theme running through one of our characters, which starts off pretty but once you let all the pieces click into place, makes total sense. Fallen Kingdoms isn't a big Lord of the Rings epic fantasy, at least not in this book. I mean, if I'm going to compare it to Lord of the Rings, then there's no elves, dwarfs, trolls, orcs. There's none of those fantasy type creatures. As far as I can work out, this is a world of humans, and witches exist and magic exists. And that's about it as far as the fantasy element goes. But it does have this kind of history to it. It's not as rich as Lord of the Rings. Obviously, I'm still only in book 1, and Tolkien developed his story over many, many years. But you feel like this place is real, that the history is relevant to the characters now, and it's very what I would call classic fantasy in its setup. We have this quest, we have these plots, we know where we're going, and we're along for the ride, and I think it's going to be a great ride, to be honest. I will say I'm not sure about a couple of our lead characters. Cleo, she's very much a girl lost at the moment, I think. She hasn't quite come into herself, but I'm hoping to see that in the next book, especially considering where the first book leaves us. She's a little, I'm going to say unpredictable, but she's 16 years old and the things are happening as she's supposed to be unpredictable. But I would say her emotional side is quite unpredictable. There were certain things that she did or thought, and I kind of thought, oh, that's a bit out of the blue. I wasn't expecting that. But there we are. Certainly the more interesting characters are Magnus and his sister Lucia. I feel that they've been very well drawn and we know a lot about them. Jonas, he takes a little time to actually develop, I think. He's very black and white. You know what he thinks and he stands by it until things actually start changing his mind, and then it's like, hang on, perhaps I should have thought about this and this and this. So I have to see how those other characters develop in the next book, which is Rebel Spring. And I'm kind of hoping that because the series is 6 books long, that we're going to get those big character developments, that the author's not just going to play on, here I'm going to throw this at character, here I'm going to throw this at this character, and I'm going to throw this at this character, and I want you to feel X, Y, and Z. I'm kind of hoping for a little bit more subtlety, I think. The magic setup, it's not like Brandon Sanderson, or it's not a fantastical, brilliant, complex magical system. This is the 4 elements: air, water, earth, and fire. So, and the ability to manipulate them. So, the magic, if you're looking for a complex magic system, that's not it. But it's perfectly adequate for this world, and it fits in with this world, the whole history and the structure of this world. So it works fine. The only drawback I have with this story is it's got a similar writing style to Game of Thrones, where every chapter you meet a new character and a new land. And it's a little bit confusing to start off with. I was really glad there was actually a character list at the beginning telling me which land had which characters in and how they're related to all each other, because for the first sort of 6 chapters, and they're only a couple of pages each, so you know, don't get too worried about how many pages am I going to read. You're not reading loads of pages. But for those first few chapters, I kept referring back to the character list, so I knew who I was reading about, what land they were related to, and how they interconnected with the other characters. Once I got everybody set in my head, and I knew where everybody was settled, and the general social structure, then I was fine, and I just carried on going for it, and it was very enjoyable after that. So I think that's about it for Fallen Kingdoms. Like I say, I've really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to get my hands on the second one, and hopefully Blitz reading that as well. It is a YA style story. So if you're looking for big, heavy fantasy, this is not it. If you're looking for enjoyable fantasy, then you can't go pretty wrong with this. It is enjoyable. It is easy to read. You know roughly where things are heading. At least at the moment I do. And I would recommend it to quite a few readers, actually. I think it's something a lot of people would enjoy and would dedicate their time to reading 6 books in it. There we go. Can I also just say, covers. The covers are gorgeous. So, huge bonus there. Thank you very much. Anyway, Fallen Kingdoms by Morgan Rhodes. Have you read it? Have you read the whole series? You know, what's your favourite character in there? Your favourite part, piece of action? What do you particularly like about this series? Please let me know in the comments below, because I like hearing things like that. If you haven't read it, are you planning to now? Maybe, possibly. I would say if fantasy is not your thing, you might want to give this a go, because it might be your thing. As always, my social media links are down in the description box down below. You can find me on Goodreads, Instagram and Twitter. So, you know, say hi, make friends, chat, be nice, thank you. I'm looking for any book bloggers who would like me to link to their book blog to get the word out that you exist out there. So if you're one of those, please let me know via social media or comments below your link to your blog, and I'll put you in a future video. As always, thank you very much for watching, and happy reading, everyone. Bye!